Okay, coming in at number 4 is A Quiet Place. Now, for me, this was a bit of an interesting one because I am not the greatest fan of horror movies, but I
Yeah, I
gave it a
made
go. I gave it a
I
go.
put this like an thing, and I made Paddy watch it because I just loved it so much.
Yeah, it is a really great film though, and
Yeah, it's a great movie. Let's have a look at the ratings for this one.
it's IMD of 7.5, which I think is again slightly harsh. I think all
Yeah,
IMD
yeah,
ratings are
yeah,
slightly below what I think they should be, but you know,
yeah. Exactly, exactly.
um,
It's the most suspenseful movie I've ever watched. Like it just all builds up to things, and all the things in the movies sort of come down to one moment, and that happens quite a lot of times. So I find like when the mum stepped up the stairs, you could see it coming for an
yeah,
hour because like the guy like the nail fell out of the guy's pocket like an hour ago, and she was pregnant. You could just see it coming for an hour.
yeah.
So
I think
the suspense
And I think
is
that's what made this film
built up.
bearable for me. Is that it's not so much based on kind of jump scares. It's based on the
It's all just
suspense.
suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Like you know what's gonna happen. So yeah,
I
I thought
think
that was a brilliant movie.
there's a little nitpick I have here. So many people criticize this film for like the whole premise of it, but I don't have sympathy with that at all. I think that the whole point of a film is to suspend your disbelief, and that if you're going to criticize a certain film for its premise, then there's not real point in watching it at all, because every single film you're
Yeah,
going to watch, apart from a few, are going to be something that's not realistically going to happen in real
yeah.
life.
It's pretty unreal. But like morals, there's like certain morals in the movie you can like pick apart to be realistic, but it doesn't really matter because you go into the movie like going like, okay, it's going to be unrealistic, and we're not going to like complain about little details which are completely ridiculous. I think that's the right attitude to go
Yeah.
into watching the movie with.
Yeah. So then at number 3 we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So
This was my number one. This was my
it
number
was,
one
but I
on the
was
list.
not having that at all. I really was not
No, but
having
we
that.
settled with it at number three. We settled with it
It's
at number three.
respectable, very respectable.
Yeah,
So
respectable.
this is coming in at 8.4 on IMDb, which I think is again maybe perhaps slightly low, but I think about right.
Like yeah, about 8.6 or 8.7.
Yeah, closer to 9 than 8 would be probably better.
Yeah, maybe 9. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think the first thing we have to say here is that the fact that it took the whole
The
idea of
animation
Spider-Man.
quality in the movie
Yeah,
and how long it took them. Yeah,
yeah, and I think
like it took. There you
Yeah,
go,
go ahead.
go.
I was just going to say that again. Now the animation is probably second to none. It's probably the best animated film of the decade, with like hands down. And then again after that, I think you have to say the way they took the Spider-Man character, I made it slightly kind of strange and really different. It could have been like really detrimental to the whole film, but it was done in such a way that it actually worked really well. And I think that's something that the film has to be praised for.
Yeah, and also another fact here. It took them. I think it was like 8 years to make or something, and they made. I mean, I think it was 2 seconds a day, 2 seconds of movie a day, and then it was all combined to make this. I think it was like hour 50 minute long movie, and I thought the story as well behind it was absolutely brilliant. I thought the idea of like reunion with I thought the whole multiverse theory is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that in lots of movies,
Yeah.
but like
Uh,
I just thought I thought it was just. It was quite cool to have. To be quite honest, it's quite cool to have a black Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like it's different. It's different to the norm, and I thought yeah, the voice actors were good, and again the animation quality was
I
great.
think going on for the multiverse whole thing, it shows how great the idea is because the MCU have now pinched it. Because with the new Doctor Strange movie, they're making a
Exactly.
whole multiverse
Yeah.
movie,
I
kind of
know, I
inspired
know.
by this. So it shows just how great this is. That a whole massive franchise has to get on top of the old idea.
Just a quick criticism. Even though I really liked, no, it's unrealistic. There was a sense of almost a sense of seriousness to it a little bit. And one thing I didn't like that much was even though the pig guy was quite funny, I thought he was
Yeah.
a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah, well,
I thought
maybe they're
I
kind of
think
trying
he
to
ruined the
squeeze the
vibe of the
humour out.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ruined the vibe of the movie, but that's a tiny thing, and he was still pretty funny, so
Yeah.
that's why it number one, but it's on number 3 on this list.
Okay, before we get into the big top 2, we have 4 honourable mentions, because we need as many honourable mentions as possible. There were some great movies this year, and this is probably the most contentious part of the entire video. Because,
we disagreed on this quite a lot.
So we got a few from each of us. More from me though, because I have a lot that I need to put in here. So one of our honourable mentions is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Jack.
Right, you see, I thought this was terrible.
It's not terrible at all.
It's terrible.
But I would have had it on the list in the first place. I would have had it, but I think just the cinematography and the way that the apes are created means that it just has to be somewhere.
It had good graphics.
Yeah, but personally, I think the
CGI
story and everything's great.
CGI
as well,
was good.
Maybe not for you, Jack. And then at number 2 of our honourable mentions is 1917. Again, I would have had this on the list, but I think maybe coming a bit later is another war movie.
This is the one movie out of the whole list which I haven't watched, and it could have easily been on the list, and it could have been number 1 technically, because we'll get a
bit further. We'll see why there's not another war movie on the list.
We'll see why.
But I think the whole one-shot effect is like something kind of revolutionary.
Yeah. It's something new, brilliant camera work, something never experienced before, and it makes you feel like you yourself are on a journey, like with the characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that I've never seen it, but I reckon that. I reckon that's
about
what it's like.
Yeah. And then our third honourable mention, Jack, is Jurassic World. Now, okay, I have to say this was not a great movie, but I have to say that just purely because Jurassic Park itself is my favourite movie of all time, I had to have some sort of Jurassic film on the list somewhere. So this had to go on. This had to go on.
Yeah, again, like Dawn of the CGI was good, but it's just nothing special in my opinion. It's nothing special at all.
No, yeah. But Chris Pratt riding on a bike with some velociraptors.
We'll let you have your little thing there.
Okay, and then our fourth one is Interstellar.
This was because with me, I thought the movie was good. I didn't like it nowhere near enough for it to be on the list, but just purely again because the special effects behind the movie, and also it was actually quite scientifically accurate in some aspects, like the black hole scene. They actually had like 15 or 20 scientists working away with the like digital producers to help make this scene, because they wanted to make it like as realistic as possible. So that's why I'm giving Interstellar an honourable mention.
Yeah. Okay, and then finally getting into our top 2.
Didn't we both say this? We both said this at number 2 in our original list.
This was a completely agreed number 2. And at number 2 we have Joker. Alright, so starring Joaquin Phoenix and Robert De Niro, although pretty much just starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, just Joaquin Phoenix,
So this has an IMDb rating of 8.5, which is extremely high on IMDb, but again, I think this is slightly harsh.
Pretty harsh.
I think the first thing must be said is the way it kind of redefined an entire comic book genre by being more of a character study than kind of an action-based.
DC has been like pretty unsuccessful in the past decade. The whole DCU concept.
Oh my god, the DCU
it's in a shadow.
Abysmal.
It's in a shadow of the MCU, to be quite honest with you. And I'm just happy they decided to be like, right, what we're doing at the moment, so we're gonna like scrap everything and just make a completely separate everything else. We're gonna get some good actors. Like I can think he was that was the best acting performance of the decade. I reckon.
Yeah, he did get off.
He did get off.
But is he better than Heath Ledger? Is it really fair to compare them?
But that was before, like when Heath Ledger did Dark Knight. That was before 2010, anyway.
Yeah, I know. So we would have definitely had that on here.
Dark Knight would have definitely had that on our list.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it was before 2010, so we can't have that.
I think the fact that there's barely any action in this film shows the fact that Joaquin Phoenix almost carried it, because of the fact that he just drove the entire plot forward with his incredible performance, and it was so character-based.
I've never seen an actor more committed to smoking, though. The amount of cigarettes he must have had in that movie.
I mean, just like some sort of stuff like physical acting, where like he had to get so thin for the role that he looked really unhealthy just to add to it. And I think it shows how committed he was to this character, that he could portray that. Okay, also a quick question we got here, a little talking point, is there's been some criticisms that this film glorifies mass violence. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because I personally don't really think that's fair. Because they do,
No, neither do I.
They do show Joker to be a completely mentally unstable character, but while sympathising with him.
But like again, this refers to the previous point earlier. You shouldn't go into the movie expecting this to be like, even though in a way it is quite relatable. You could see like a similar, not obviously not sort of guy turning into a killer clown basically, but like the fact that in like New York there are, and any cities in the world there are lots of poor people who don't get the support from the president and his employees like as much as they should do. But like again, you go into that movie with a sense that it's going to be really realistic and you should take it completely seriously.
Yeah.
So I disagree with that point.
Yeah. And also I like how they didn't tie it into Batman or any other universe.
Yeah,
made
exactly.
it a whole lot better because like the Dark Knight,
the DCU was just a complete flop.
Yeah.
So it was good that they abandoned that.
Okay, and finally, going into number one. And at number one, we have Dunkirk by Christopher Nolan. Now, this was my...
Best director, I think.
Yeah, the best director of the decade was Christopher Nolan.
Well.
Yeah. So at number one we have Dunkirk, which I put at number one on my original list. But Jack, where did you have on your original list?
I had it as 3.
Yeah.
But I accept it. I thought it's worthy. It's worthy.
It really is. Yeah. It's got an IMDb rating of 7.9. Get it out of here. Get it out of here.
Let me get up the Rotten Tomatoes rating for this movie because I think that is completely unfair.
Yeah, because this should be like over a 9, far over 9.
Let's have a look. Dunkirk 2017 Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 10 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's more like it.
Wait, what's it got? Sorry.
A 93.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's where we have it. I think the way, again, as we said with Black Klansman, the way it treats the subject matter that it's treating in such a kind of respectful way, and it actually respects how dire the circumstances were in this film, and doesn't try to kind of amplify it and make it really kind of make all the violence really overly done and all that sort of stuff. I think that's really, really well done.
We all love a good war story. Let's be honest. We all love a good war story. And I thought, but this is why we compared it. I read the synopsis of 1917, and we agreed that, but no, the camera work was probably better in 1917 because of the whole one-shot thing. I think we thought Dunkirk had like a really good story behind it. And that's why it was worthy of the number one spot.
I think the way that it's a sort of documentary really works well for it because of the fact that it maybe doesn't have such a clearly defined story, but the way it makes it into something massive and it's like the scale of the story that they're telling, it's just done really well. And the fact that it doesn't have any driving protagonist or anything means that it can focus on the circumstance rather than the characters. Well, still, obviously, the characters are really well developed.
But 1917 was more focused on the characters, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was basically based on 2 men only, which worked really well, of course. But I think Dunkirk just picked it here.
Yeah.
And I think another little silly thing is that the cameos in the film were nice. So you got stuff like Kenneth Branagh, Mark Rylance, all this sort of stuff. It's just good to see. It's just good to see. And I think that Christopher Nolan, as he's proved time and time again, is the cinematography that he produces is just like incredible. Like this film looks and sounds incredible.
Off the charts.
Yeah, it's off the charts. So yeah, that is our top 10 list.
That's it.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed.